My name is Chris Levendos. I'm the Vice President of Network Engineering and Operations at Crown Castle. I want to thank ABNY. I also want to thank the Downtown Alliance for hosting this talk. Appreciate the opportunity to just have a short talk about some of the key infrastructure investments that are necessary here in New York City to enable the phenomenon that is coming, that is 5G. When we talk about the importance of communication infrastructure, specifically wireless infrastructure, and the readiness that is necessity for 5G, we need more small cells and we need more fiber optics in New York City. So we talk about what the value will be with 5G, what is changing, why is all this necessary. And when we suggest that mobile broadband is transforming the way that people live, work, and experience the world, what has transformed? What is transforming? A quick look back at the history of mobile technologies and the history of mobile service uses. We have pretty quickly moved from the simple early platform of 1G and now sitting at the early stages of 5G investment. And we have moved through the service uses largely concentrated on voice, moving to the use of email, internet, streaming video, and the explosion of applications for both work and life use. So essentially over this period of time, the dramatic functionality and the capability of our mobile networks and the services they support has greatly transformed. How do we continue to transform them in the future? What are the important infrastructure investments for New York City to continue this transformation? In general, around the United States, fiber, small cells, and towers are the infrastructure behind this revolutionary technology. New York City, we don't have too many towers. Our tall buildings can play the role of towers. And the radio infrastructure and the fiber optics that connect all those towers have supported the evolution of these early mobile networks from 1G to 4G. But the demands on these networks are ever increasing, so they have to evolve. Another value to stress is the overall impact on the economy. So will investing in 5G, investing in the infrastructure, investing in the services that it will provide for the US and for great cities like the city of New York, our folks at Accenture say the impact will be dramatic. That 3 million new jobs, $500 billion of added GDP value, and $275 billion worth of investments will happen over the next decade. For the largest and most densely populated city in the world, it has to be thinking about the use and improvement for these technologies for changing the lives of New Yorkers to live and work. Artificial intelligence, the transfer of basic human logic into networks to be exponentially repeated. Here's an opportunity in the laboratory of life and work that is New York for us to be on the leading edge of support of these new technologies and the businesses and impact to lives that it can enable. Smart city technology. If there's ever a city that needs the value of smart city technology to improve the movement of people and traffic and its impact on our environment, it's New York City. 5G will greatly support the increasing number of devices that will be enabled to be connected to the internet and all of the transformation of information that will take place between these added devices and the intelligence that can be managed to improve life and work in the city. And virtual reality, the opportunity to bring New York to the world and the world to New York in immersive ways that could never be considered before. These are dramatic life and work-changing opportunities that need great infrastructure investment and technological improvements to be able to enable these types of services. We see that new technologies are also driving greater data demand and usage. not just the capability or the functionality of the service, but the sheer number of connected devices is expected to increase to 27 billion by the year 2021. The number of internet connected devices per person is expected to double to be just over 13 by the year 2021, and the average broadband speed will be over 75 megabits by the same time period. And the growth of live mobile video will increase exponentially. Now, 5G technologies and the networks that support them are necessary to support all this growing demand of capacity, the growing demand of coverage, the growing challenge of density, and the necessity to support latency. Autonomous cars and the response time of the messaging from cars to networks and back, and all of the street traffic infrastructure, that signaling needs to be as close to the speed of light as possible. So added investment is necessary to bring the fixed infrastructure and its use of spectrum and its enablement of mobile technology further into our street corridors over the next few years. The infrastructure for New York City tomorrow will help both people, communities, businesses, and schools, keeping our people to stay engaged with cutting-edge technologies, communities to improve the general safety, medical care, and their overall productivity, and as well as businesses and schools being able to keep up, or more importantly, be on the leading edge of the new economies and the training for new jobs into the future. This simple depiction here describes what needs to take place over the next so many years. On the left-hand side of the chart, you see radio infrastructure sitting atop a tall building, making use of existing 4G spectrums to support the service capabilities of today. On the right, you see the addition of new radio infrastructure called small cells sitting atop light poles. This simple depiction needs to repeat itself across all 5 boroughs of New York City thousands and thousands and thousands of times over to be able to support the mobile traffic of millions and millions of people and millions of devices, and the service improvements and the service technologies that can be supported over this advancing and improved infrastructure. And again, this is improving the capacity of today's service environment to tomorrow's technology. It's improving the speed, it's improving the latency, as well as the overall ability to deal with the density of not only people, but the density of devices. Where small cell solutions soar, and again, the absolute need for advancing more small cell radio infrastructure into our street corridors, in densely populated areas, in challenging geographies, in venues that accommodate large crowds. You blend these 3 simple depictions together, and you have New York City, a densely populated area in challenging geographies with large crowds moving about. Small cell infrastructure is the right technology to be able to support a dense urban environment and to be able to overcome the challenge of the demand of services both today and tomorrow of millions of people, and the difficult street corridors and all of the tall buildings and low buildings and challenging topology of New York City, and the great advancing demand and use of services that will occur into the future. And this last model just further emphasize the opportunity for positioning of infrastructure. The building of additional fiber optics, the building of additional small cell locations does not have to be repeated time and time again. Positioning the right capacity of fiber optics, positioning the right capacity of small cell node scenarios, this infrastructure can be utilized in a shared model to ensure access, fairness, in efficiency and less disruption to the city. So with that, I thank ABNY for the opportunity in supporting this platform and for the Downtown Alliance for hosting it, and a short, simple conversation about the further investment of communication infrastructure in New York City to support 5G. And remember, more fiber optics, more cells, more small cells, and New York City will be readied for all that 5G can offer. Thank you.